Have you ever found yourself typing out a lengthy, detailed prompt to ChatGPT or Claude only to wish there was a faster way? If you're like me, you've probably spent considerable time creating these elaborate prompts, providing context, and iterating on the responses. What if I told you there was a way to make this process as natural as having a conversation with a colleague? That's what we're going to cover today, friends. My name is Dan Vega, and I am the author of the Bite Sized AI newsletter, which you can find here. And this is the article that I want to cover today. Stop typing to AI. This productivity hack will save you hours. This thing saves me so much time. I use it every single day, and I can't imagine going back. And so I'm going to show you how to supercharge your AI interactions with voice dictation. So we'll go through a little bit of the article, and then I'll show you how I use it inside of large language models. And this really came down to, my initial kind of using of LLMs. I would go off, I would say, to ChatGPT or to Claude, and you kind of start from nowhere, right? You start with like, hey, can you write me a blog post on topic X? And while this doesn't get you very far, you realize that you need to be able to provide more context. The same way that if you're going to ask a colleague to help you with something, whatever task that may be, you wouldn't just go to them and say, hey, can you write me an application that does this? You would provide much more context. And so over time, you start to learn to provide more context to the LMs, and you find that this gets you much better results. So you go to an LM and it kind of almost seems exhausting at times. You're like, oh, do I really want to use it now? Because I know all of the things I got to type out to talk to this LM, and then probably not going to be right on the first time. So I'm going to iterate back and forth with this large language model until I get the desired results. And yeah, and so it can be a lengthy process, but if you do it right, you can get some really great results. So I found that using voice dictation was really a huge time saver for me. And I picked this tip up from Sully Omar on his YouTube channel. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description below. But this is my productivity superpower. So when I'm on Claude or ChatGPT, and now I use it everywhere, there's a text box. Instead of typing, I hit a keyboard shortcut on my keyboard, and I can immediately start talking into this microphone. So first off, you have to have a decent microphone. We'll talk more about that as we go. But I start talking into my microphone, and I just have a conversation as I would with a coworker. And this just makes for a better workflow for me. And so we'll go through on how to do this. I'll show you the keyboard that I have because it does kind of help out. On this F5 key, I have this little microphone. So I know that when I hit that, that is what's going to kind of kickstart dictation. And the way that you get this set up, I have some instructions here for both Mac OS and Windows. I'm not entirely sure if the Windows one is exactly right because I don't have a Windows machine to test it on, but I've done a little research and it seems like that's how you do it. But on Mac, if you go to your system settings and navigate over to keyboard, you can scroll down and see a section on dictation. You'll want to enable that. And then you'll want to choose your preferred microphone source. So I have, like my internal microphone on my MacBook Pro. I have this one. The better microphone that you have, the better results you're going to get because it just picks up the clarity a little bit better. So you want to choose the microphone source, and then you want to choose a shortcut. So whatever works for you. For me, that F5 key on my keyboard seemed like a logical place to go. And then we have some Windows setup is here as well. So best practices for this, again, microphone quality matters. We want to structure our thoughts the same way that I just wouldn't go over to somebody's desk at work and start rambling. I mean, maybe I would, but I want to have some structure to like what I want to say. You can use some voice commands for formatting. Instead of just rambling on and on, you can say things like period, and it will add a period, or comma, question mark, new paragraph. These things help when you want to kind of structure your format your thoughts. And then review and refine. And again, I think this is really just like talking to a colleague. You're going to not say everything at once. Like, let's start somewhere. Here's like my starting process. Then I'll come back with the response. And then you might say, oh, okay, that sounds good. But what if we went in this direction, right? So this is a process of trying to be as clear as possible, as concise as possible, give as much context as possible, but the iteration is really where that magic happens. So real world applications, I've been using this a lot, whether it's writing for content creation, blog posts, social media posts for a particular thing. I use it a lot for coding and technical tasks, like saying what feature I'm trying to build into an application. That way I can give it as much context as possible. Being able to describe a complex problem works really well. Document analysis, and again, that iterative discussion. So time savings, man, I don't even know if this is right. I think it might even be more than that, because the more that you use LLMs, the more that you're using them, the more time you're going to save using this process. So getting started, we have the instructions in here. Just get started with simple prompts and, iterate on those and gradually increase complexity as you become more proficient. So that is the post. Again, this is my newsletter. If you want to head over there, bitesizedai.dev. This is for content creators, developers, anyone trying to take advantage of large language models. I have a bunch of bite-sized, so consumable, digestible articles on different topics in AI if you're interested in checking that out. So let's see how this works. So again, I can come over here, and what we're going to do is do a little bit of a blog post. So I want to do a blog post on something. Let's say I just did a presentation today on common mistakes in Spring Boot. So I'm going to think about this. I really want to structure this, and I want to keep this kind of short because this could go forever. So I want to write a short article on some of the most common mistakes made as a Spring developer. And so what I'm going to try to do is provide some clarity to the LLM on what I want this particular post to look like. So again, I'm going to hit my F5 key and start talking, and then we'll see how it looks, and then we can iterate on it. I want to write a new article geared towards Java and Spring developers. The name of this article is The Most Common Mistakes Made by Spring Developers. We can change the title of that later, but that's kind of the theme. I want to focus on maybe the top 3 to 5 mistakes that Spring developers are making. So I want to keep this short and concise. I also want to provide an answer for the common mistakes that we're making, and maybe a better solution that we can use in place of those mistakes. Also, wherever we have code examples, I want to make them readable. I want to favor readability over one-liners. Okay, I'm going to start there, and let's see what we get out of that. All right, so as Spring developers fall in, misusing auto-wired on fields, perfect. That is definitely one of them. Inappropriate use of transactional, inefficient exception handling, better solution, ignoring configuration best practices, this approach. Yeah, this probably isn't going to be the final article for this, but I have a whole bunch of these common mistakes that we make. But this is a pretty good start, right? And again, I would just kind of iterate on this. So what do we have, 4 in here? So I have 4. This approach by avoiding these common mistakes. Yeah, no, I think this is okay. Let's just say that, let's take out number 3. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to iterate on this, and we'll do this. So I'm going to hit my F5 keyboard again. I really like these, but I think we can pull out number 3, inefficient exception handling. And what I would like to put in its place is the overuse of the @Spring Boot test annotation in favor of using test slices. I think that is a much better approach and doesn't slow down our tests because we're not loading the entire application context. So maybe replace number 3 with overuse of the @Spring Boot test annotation in our tests. So now it's going to think about that, and it's going to replace that one. So we still keep the structure of the article, number 1, number 2, Number 3, overuse of Spring Boot tests and unit tests. Great. This approach has several drawbacks. Yep, better solution. Um, this is so yeah. This isn't exactly what I was going for. So I would come back maybe and say, let's try it one more time. And I think actually, let's get rid of that. I like the new at Spring Boot test annotation overuse, but what I was going for here was instead of using that, I would prefer to use the test slices like at WebMVC test, which does test a vertical slice, the web layer, instead of bringing in the application context for everything. So can we adjust number 3 to talk about using these test slices over at Spring Boot test annotation? So again, you can see that like this is a very iterative process. I never just say write a blog post on this or write a social media post on this. Constantly iterating on this process, seeing what they have, and having a normal conversation to be able to kind of refine what I'm using LLMs for. So here's an example of using at Spring Boot test. And they say, hey, this doesn't do good. Better use of this. Maybe let's use WebMVC test. And it has an example of that. It even showed some other test slices like data JPA test or JSON test. And then this is. I would probably even refine this a little bit more to go into a little bit better of a conclusion to wrap this up, maybe a little bit more of a hook in the introduction. But this is pretty good. And again, I hope you could see that like having to type all of this out would be a very lengthy process. I find I just save so much time being able to go through this and have normal conversations like I would with a colleague. So, hey, I hope you found this useful. I know it's a little bit different, but still, I think pretty useful, especially for the things that we're doing today. And again, this works everywhere there's a text box. So I can dictate tweets if I want to. I can talk to LLMs this way. I've been finding this very useful today. So if you found this useful, you can do me a couple favors. One, sign up for the Bite-Sized AI newsletter over at bitesizedai.dev. And if you found this useful and want to see more videos from that newsletter over here, let me know about that as well in the comments. And if you did learn something new today, do me a favor, leave me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and as always, happy coding, friends.